Welcome to Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. 3 new Indigenous art exhibitions aim to uplift artistic innovation while honoring tradition and culture. At the same time, they challenge viewers to acknowledge and understand the complex layers of Native existence that are woven into the tapestry of the nation as a whole. We'll take a look at these examples of creative expression and preview Vision Maker Media's year-long streaming film festival. We're back after National Native News.
This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. Before he left office, President Joe Biden came to Arizona and formally apologized for the federal government's role in running boarding schools designed to forcibly assimilate Indigenous children. As KJZZ's Gabriel Pietrazio reports, Biden's words still carry meaning as one group continues fulfilling a promise from his administration.
Children would arrive at schools, their clothes taken off, their hair that they were told was sacred was chopped off, their names literally erased, replaced by a number or an English name.
At least 526 facilities were built nationwide and resulted in more than 3,000 deaths.
The pain it has caused will always be a significant mark of shame, a blot on American history.
An enduring pain, Deb Haaland, Biden's Interior Secretary and the daughter of a boarding school survivor, began trying to heal.
For decades, this terrible chapter was hidden from our history books. But now our administration's work will ensure that no one will ever forget.
More than a year later, healing continues within the Gila River Indian community.
It feels like just yesterday that we were doing our opening and we were standing up here and telling you how we were going to make this week be a safe space for you.
That's Lacey Kinner, who is from the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians in Michigan and with the nonprofit National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition. Their group came to Gila River as part of a national tour collecting boarding school testimonials. They aim to document 400 survivors by the end of the tour. Each video recording will be accessible through the Library of Congress.
One of my favorite things about this work that we do is being able to see healing happening right in front of our eyes.
Charlie Brissett is an oral history program co-director and from the same tribe as Kinner.
We don't say that we're the healers, but we offer space for healing to happen. By the end of the week, too, a lot of our relatives that have shared their story with us come back because they're like family now.
Like boarding school survivor Ramona Klein, who is from the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa in North Dakota and sits on the nonprofit's board.
I know what it was like for me, so I'm hoping it was kind of like that for them because there's a relief.
Their intimate project involves a lot of aftercare, with the nonprofit remaining ever mindful of mental health.
Each survivor will be contacted by the person who interviewed them in the next week or so. And then we continue to follow up for the next year. In addition to that, we offer a healing circle that's virtual. We want to be very cognizant that we don't open up wounds and hurt people.
For National Native News, I'm Gabriel Pietrazio reporting from the Gila River Indian Reservation.
The National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition will stop in Denver this month to continue its oral history project. This week, Representative Sharice Davids reintroduced the Native American Entrepreneurial Opportunity Act to strengthen the Small Business Administration's Office of Native American Affairs and expand support for Native entrepreneurs. Speaking on the House floor, David said Native entrepreneurs face unnecessary barriers to accessing the tools and resources they need to grow, create jobs, and compete, and the bill strengthens programs so they can better meet those needs. To introduce the legislation, Davids was joined by Representatives Eli Crane, Jake Ellzey, and Kelly Morrison. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation, with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Tribal Development Partners, helping tribes build toward their goals through 105L leasing and essential facility development, empowering sovereignty, strengthening community. More at tribaldevpartners.com, proud supporters of this show.
Hear that? Tribal college faculty do so much, one can't say it all here. Nothing but respect. Visit mostthoroughdescription.com. The American Indian College Fund supports this program.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.
This is Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. As the country commemorates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, conversations about land, identity, and national pride are not lost on Native artists and curators. In this program, we'll take a look at a handful of new art exhibitions that expand those conversations to include the Native narrative in both subtle and overt ways. The Museum of Contemporary Native Art in Santa Fe aims to stretch the boundaries of the paper medium while also examining Native cultural survival in the face of colonization. A show at the Center of Southwest Studies at Fort Lewis College is centered on a visual history of Native people in Colorado. And the Seattle Gallery Tidelands ties creative expression with the creation stories of the Coast Salish people. Later in the hour, we'll also hear about the year-long Native Film Festival developed by Vision Maker Media. Listeners, you can join today's conversation with comments and questions. Call us at 1-800-996-2848. That is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. We have three guests to begin today's conversation. First, joining us from Riverside, California, is Dr. Miranda Roberts. She is a guest curator of Constellations of Place. She is Chicana and a member of the Yerington Paiute tribe. Miranda, good morning and welcome to Native America Calling.
Good morning. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Joining us from Seattle, Washington is Matika Wilbur. She is an author, photographer, and the CEO of Tidelands Production Studio and Native Art Gallery in Seattle. She is Swinomish and Tulalip. Matika, good morning and welcome back to Native America Calling.
Haftada too. Good morning. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And joining us from Reno, Nevada is Melissa Malero Moose. She is an artist and co-curator of Paper Trails, Unfolding Indigenous Narratives, and she is Northern Paiute. Melissa, good morning. Great to have you on the show as well.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Let's go ahead and get this conversation started. Miranda, I want to begin with you, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. That helped guide you when curating this show. How did celebrations around America 250 shape the themes you helped gather?
Yes, so it was also, we're all in Colorado, they're also celebrating the 150th anniversary of statehood. And so this exhibition is kind of talking about how place has been impacted since the arrival of Americans or European settlement, and how artists have over time responded to these assimilationist practices. So coming out of boarding school and having flat style tradition, and then now into what is more like mixed media visual art.
Now, a description of the exhibit, it says it will push viewers to move beyond reflection toward responsibility. Tell me more. What does that mean?
It means, so at Fort Lewis, it is a former federal boarding school. It operated from 1891 to 1911, and it is still a fully Native school. There are, anyone can enroll there, but a big majority of the population students is Native. And we really wanted people to understand that this space, Fort Lewis College, holds a really deep history that is harmful to so many of the students that go there, as well as other Native people who walk through its halls, and that it needs to be revered more. Instead of just thinking that boarding school history or these concepts are so far in the past, I'm trying to remind viewers that 250 years is not a very long time for us Native people. It's a very short period of time, and that networks of kin and love and expression existed prior to that. and those traditions continue today.
And for the show, you drew from collections at Fort Lewis College. Tell me more about some of these pieces from the collections and how they were able to complement the overall theme of the show.
Yes, thank you for asking. We actually collaborated with a U elder, Linda Baker, who is a Fort Lewis College alum. And we asked her about this historic collection that is housed at the Center of Fort Lewis, or Center of Southwest Studies, that was collected by this man, not a very good anthropologist, right, in the very early days. And he had a very early inventory system where he painted or hand drew a lot of the pieces that came into the collection once he took them or they were bought for the institution. And Linda and I worked on kind of reinterpreting his notes for a more contemporary audience so people could understand that the history of the items that live in a museum exhibition space, they don't just stop there, that these histories continue to exist through elders, through the youth. So it was her that helped me reinterpret that.
And Miranda, you also have contemporary artists that you brought into the exhibition. Tell me about some of these people and what it was about their art that made it so important to include.
Yes, so I wanted to make sure that I worked with artists. The exhibition is a year long, and there's going to be programming throughout. And given that a lot of the students there are Dene or Hopi or from the Four Corners region, I wanted to make sure that I incorporated artists that I knew could provide a good experience for the students so students can see themselves reflected in the artist's success. As well as I just think that a lot of these artists are like the best in their fields. Or some of the best in their fields. And I think that for me, it was important for people to understand how tradition carries on, even if no matter what has happened to us, we have always been alchemists.
Tell me more about some of the current students at Fort Lewis who you just mentioned. Do you know about how many there are that are currently enrolled? And what kind of feedback are you getting from them with regard to the exhibition? And how is it helping them better understand the school that they attend?
So I'm not too sure on the number. I do know that that there is a tuition waiver for Native students who go there or who apply and who are accepted. I'm not well versed on all of the logistics of that. However, one of the things I did when curating this exhibition was spend a week in Durango, Colorado, where Fort Lewis is situated, and spent time with community members at the school as well as students, and then people who are just from the city of Durango. And it became very clear to me that there is a very big divide within the city between the people who are not Native and the Native students. And I wanted the Native students, because that is my focal point, to feel included and to feel seen by some of the hurt that they experience by having to constantly navigate these colonial systems still within academia, as well as to feel supported and cared for and appreciated. And so far, the response has been beautiful from students. They feel, I've only gotten good feedback when I gave a tour a few weeks ago. I never had more attention from any student ever. And it just felt it felt very good, and it was emotional. We had over 200 people at the opening.
Wonderful. Miranda, Constellations of Place, where can our listeners go to learn more or just keep up to date?
There is, if you go to the Center of Southwest Studies website, there are links there. You can also find us on Instagram, but I would say that go to Center of Southwest Studies, Constellations of Place.
All right. Thank you. Dr. Miranda Roberts, guest curator of Constellations of Place. Phone number is 1-800-996-2848. Tell us what excites you about the exhibitions we are talking about today and our guests who are joining us. Again, that number, 1-800-996-2848. Let's go now to Matika Wilbur, CEO of Tidelands Production Studio and Native Art Gallery in Seattle. And Matika, Lachute Seed Creation Stories. This opens tomorrow, and it honors Coast Salish creation stories and language. Before we talk about the art, tell us about the creation story and what you hope to convey here.
Well, it's actually our creation histories exhibition, our Tsitsiab, our true information. And, I think for us here in the Pacific Northwest, it's our closest way of being in touch and knowing our ancestors is to go back to our recorded stories in Lushootseed. And from those, we can know how our world was formed and know our value systems and know how we're meant to interact with this place specifically. And, many of our people aren't incredibly familiar with our story, like the effects of colonization in many of our communities is that we became very familiar with our Judeo-Christian creation stories and not super familiar with our own histories. And so our goal really was to collaborate with the 13 language departments here in the Pacific Northwest that speak Lushootseed or Tulshutseed, and really kind of like put our stories on the table and look at and sort of have that discourse and have that conversation with the language departments, like how do you tell this story and teach this to your own community? And what would it look like for us to present that publicly? Seattle's getting ready to host the World Cup. Our gallery, Tidelands, is right here in the center and the heart of downtown. And so we thought, while we have, millions of visitors coming to Seattle, what is the story that we want told about our own people? And we want people to know the traditional land-based identity of this place that is deeply rooted, in relationship with Dakhwabiu, the changer, the transformer who changed all things, with Skyworld and Skywomen and the two sisters, and that history of how our mountains, how our rivers, how our oceans, how all the people were formed. And so I guess that's the intention of the show, if that was the question.
All right. Yeah. Great background here. Lushootseed Creation Stories opens tomorrow at Tidelands Production Studio and Native Art Gallery in Seattle. We're going to take a short break. We will come back and talk more with Matika Wilbur, along with our other guests today. And I welcome listeners to join this conversation. Give us a call, share your insights, share your perspectives. Tell us why you feel exhibitions like this are important, or maybe you're thinking about doing something similar in your community and you would like some advice or some ideas for how to make that happen. Give us a call, 1-800-996-2848. Phone lines are open and we're waiting on your call right now. Again, 1-800-996-2848. It's been a year of upheaval on the federal level with unprecedented and often confusing directives about funding, services, and policy when it comes to tribes and individual Native American interests. We'll hear the National Congress of American Indians assessment in the state of Indian Nations on the next Native America Calling.
Support by the American Indian College Fund. The American Indian College Fund provides millions of dollars of scholarships to thousands of Native students every year. Tribal citizens of every age and experience are eligible. The deadline for applications is May 31st, and you can find everything you need to apply at collegefund.org. That's collegefund.org, or by phone at 800-766-FUND. Education is the answer.
You are listening to Native America Calling, and we are talking with Indigenous artists and curators about new art exhibitions that exemplify Native connections to land and culture. What new Indigenous art shows are you excited to visit this year? Let us know. You can call us at 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. One of our guests today, Matika Wilbur, is the CEO of Tidelands Production Studio and Native Art Gallery in Seattle, Washington, and she has an exhibition opening tomorrow. It honors Coast Salish creation stories and language. And Matika, how did you choose the artists to help illustrate creation stories for your exhibit?
That's a really good question, and I being not historically a curator, am more of what I think of, I'm a photographer, I'm an artist myself, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a podcaster, and I don't actually have a background in curation. So I didn't actually want to select the artists. I actually let the language departments work with their own community members. So instead of like putting out an open call or selecting artists specifically, each of the language departments nominated artists and then sent out, an invitation to artists to participate in their respective communities. And then based off of availability and inspiration, artists participated.
Now, as a podcaster, you know better than anyone the importance of being able to describe things visually for listeners. Tell me more about some of the signature pieces in the exhibition and just what is it about them that makes them really stand out?
Well, Tidelands is a 6,000 square foot space. We're a huge space, compared to most of the galleries in this area because we're a production studio. We have a gift shop and we're a gallery downstairs. And so when you walk in the front doors, there's an invitation to cleanse because, in our traditional narratives, it says that before you hear these stories, you should prepare yourself and prepare your 5 senses and your 5 teachers, right? Prepare your ears, prepare your eyes, prepare your spirit, and so we invite people to cleanse either in the way that they do with water, with sage, there's those options. And then when you walk into the gallery, there's a giant mask, it's like 300 pounds and 6 feet tall, carved by Micah McCarty of Duckwabu, who's our changer. And so it's really quite impressive because it's just such a giant piece of wood. And then, you come around the corner and the story begins. So as you walk through the gallery, it tells the story, the 16-page story throughout the whole gallery of the star women, there's these 2 sisters, they look up to the sky and the sisters say, wouldn't it be amazing if you married the red star and I married the white star? And when they wake up the next morning, they're in Sky World because the stars were listening. And so when you come around into the first gallery, there's a picture of the sisters, in Sky World. And then they, it's sort of like the story sort of time jumps, and then they're married to, and so there's a picture. The next is an oil painting by Peter Boom of his interpretation of the star that one of the women fell in love with. But it turns out the women did not like being in Sky World. And so they dug a hole in the firmament and they wove a giant cedar rope to swing back down to earth on. And so then when you come around the corner in the gallery, there's a long 8-foot cedar rope, which I don't know if anybody's ever seen. I haven't ever seen a long cedar rope this size. So that's really exciting. And the kids can swing on it. So there's some interaction. And then there's a painting also by Peter Boom of the women coming down on the cedar rope. And then, she's pregnant. She has a baby. And that baby grows up to become the changer. But as the mom is out swinging on the rope, because all the people came to gather and swing on the rope because, like a giant rope swinging from the sky. And so the Sky Sister, she gives her baby to Old Bullfrog Woman and says, watch my baby, I'm going to go swing on the rope. And so then there's a portrait of the Bullfrog Woman that I did, which is like a rendition of a woman in regalia with a bullfrog face and a baby and a baby board. And then, Bullfrog Woman, she's blind, and the dog salmon are like, we want that Sky Child. So the dog salmon people come and they take the baby and they leave a piece of rotten wood. So that's represented then with a piece of wood when you go around the corner. So there's sort of like, as the story is unfolding, you're seeing these interpretations. There's a giant Coast Salish frog with Duckwabu on the wall. And then you come into the next gallery, and then it's when the transformer or Duckwabu starts doing his work. So he gets taken by the dog salmon to the land of the dog salmon people, and he grows up and he becomes a man, and he wants to go home to his people. And he talks Sky Kai, or the Blue Jay, into bringing him back to his people. And so then there's this beautiful triptych by Epiphany Couch of a blue jay. It's really cool. It's like they're double exposure portraits of like the mountains and of the sky world. And then she took this portrait of a blue jay and she beaded it. And it's so this sort of like 3D, 2D piece. And so it's like shows Sky Kai's journey. And then, I could go on and on. And then, we come around the corner and there's
You
the
do such a
deer
good
and the
job.
bear, and
Yeah, you
yeah,
explain it so well. I mean, what you are describing is like an immersive storytelling experience, like going on a journey. This just sounds so fascinating, and I love how like kids can swing on the rope. I mean, it just seems to offer so many features
yeah.
for so many different types of visitors. Now, Matika, earlier we heard Miranda talk about America 250 and how that
Yeah,
came into play with her work. And I
yeah.
want to bring that topic back up because how do you see your exhibition now adding to this conversation of America's origins? And so much is going on right now at the national level.
To that I say, bah. Like I always like to call this place what is now known as the United States, because we can remember a time before this was the United States, and we can imagine a future beyond the United States. Our people have been here since time immemorial, and our people will continue to be here, beyond this fascist regime. I can't see it any other way. But in terms of what is now known as America 250, I think it's I've been asked to participate in several exhibitions and to, go do shows about it. And I've thought about it a lot, because I was like, well, what would I actually do to respond to this country? And I quite frankly was baffled, because, because I would like to hold in my heart this idea that our people can be free of this colonial oppression. So I don't actually want to say that this is a response to that at all. This is I think that this work is work for our own children, work that we would have done pre-colonization, and work that we have to continue to do. And, traditionally we would have been in our longhouses telling these stories to our children in the wintertime. And then, like our longhouses were outlawed. It was made illegal, and it was also made illegal to tell these stories. And so, then our people feel shame because we don't speak our language, or we feel shame because we don't know our origin stories. And I just don't, and I would just like to be a part of the solution to remove some of that shame from our people and from myself, really, because I felt that shame, that that English is my first language. I would love it if I could speak to you fluently right now in Tulshutsid. And so I've had to do my own work of dismantling my own oppression towards myself because of the systems that in power. But, it's like, I see this as like an offering of spirit and of generosity by the artists, by the language departments, by community, for our community. And I think if the broader community benefits from it, that's great. But this work is for our people, for our Coast Salish people.
All right. Thank you so much, Matika. Anything special planned for tomorrow night's opening, or any other information so our listeners can learn more about the exhibition?
Yeah. The show opens at 6. If anybody listening and is around and wants to come, please come. We would love to have you. We have a lot on the agenda. We'll be, there'll be song, there'll be dance, and then we'll be telling the story in both Lushootseed and English. And so I think that's really special. It's not something that's done often, so I think it's a real special opportunity for that. And all the artists will be here, and I think it's going to be a real good time. So I hope people will come through.
All right. Matika Wilbur, CEO of Tidelands Production Studio and Native Art Gallery in Seattle, Washington. Phone lines open for listeners who would like to join us, 1-800-996-2848. Our next guest, Melissa Malero Moose, joins us now from Reno, Nevada, co-curator of Paper Trails, Unfolding Indigenous Narratives. And Melissa, tell me more. Paper, is this a theme or requirement in this exhibit?
Yeah, the exhibition has the paper as the connecting theme of the show, but there are a bunch of different directions that it took, whether it be photographers and printmakers. We have installation pieces of handmade papers, Hawaiian artist who does hand-cut paper. We have an artist who does the origami with the Pueblo pottery. Just really innovative use of materials, and also, the complex history of paper that I think a lot of the artists sort of took in double and triple meaning directions to tell their own stories.
Well, like we did with Martika, Melissa, give us an audio tour. Tell us more about a few of the pieces in the show and what is about them that makes them so perfect for this exhibition.
Yeah, so there's a lot of artists out of Santa Fe, which was really great. So we didn't have to, that were from all over the country and Hawaii and Canada. So it was really great to have a lot of these artists at hand, and I think that's how the exhibition sort of became. Hey, look at this artist doing paper, and look at this other artist, just all of these amazing. Innovative ways to express their art. And so I think entering the exhibition is Faye Heavyshield from the Blood Nation. She is expressing this beautiful water piece that is like impressing like a waterfall with all of like hundreds of delicate pieces of paper carrying photographic traces of like the river system. So she's telling this story and the importance of water, and not much as a resource, but as a relation. And we have a bunch of large-scale, I think, installation pieces like that. There's a large canoe by Bonnie Devine, who is using, constructing like from pages of her own research, and they're like sewn together. And I think it's like 180 inches long. That's going to be like hanging from the ceiling, and it's constructed to in the form of like a traditional Anishinaabe rice gathering canoe. I'm super excited about that.
Does it actually?
So there's 20 plus artists in this exhibition.
Yeah. Does that canoe? Does it actually float?
I'm not sure, because I think it was sewn together, but it's beautiful, and it looks like a lot of the artists made paper look like deer hide, and what you would use to make a floating usable object.
Yeah, so exquisite. Ledger art is featured quite a bit as well, right?
Yes. So, ledger art is definitely what popped into my head. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about all of these different, uses of the material that, once we really got that list together. But, with that complex history that Indigenous people have with paper, so many things that were being used, from the origin of the ledger art, and which branches off from the Fort Marion prisoners, and ultimately led to the boarding school history. But we have with this complex history with paper, we have broken treaties, we have acts of Congress, we have ethnographic photography and anthropological books and papers, the Bible, paper money, there's so many different directions that I think a lot of the artists took that just sort of material and made it their own to tell their, cultural histories, a lot of historical and current topics.
Yeah, and so many conversations now that will be sparked for people who come and visit this exhibition. It's just so profound. Melissa, the show is also accompanied by a catalog. When can we expect to see that come out?
Oh, that's a good question. We were a little bit behind because we were trying to get the funding together, but it's going to be a nice size publication. And I just turned in my essay, so I'm thinking hopefully by the end of the exhibition, which is in July.
And what do you have going on in terms of social media or a website where listeners can go?
Yeah, so go to the Institute of American Indian Arts, IAIA.edu, and you'll see the museum links. That'll bring you over to the Paper Trails link. And then also, I think after the show opens today, with the reception tonight from 5 to 7. So after we get a couple of pictures of the exhibition, they'll go up on the website as well. So you can see it if you're too far away to go check it out.
All right, Melissa Molero Moose, co-curator of Paper Trails Unfolding Indigenous Narratives. And we're going to take another short break here. We'll come back and continue the show. And listeners, as always, you can join us by calling 1-800-996-2848. That number again, 1-800-996-2848. Tell us what you like so far about the show today, what you've learned, what you still might have questions about, or any thoughts you maybe would like to share with our guest today. Again, just call us, 1-800-99-NATIVE. And we also have social media available. You can go to our Facebook page or our Instagram page. We also have Blue Sky and Threads, those platforms all available for listeners to post, like, comment about our content today or previous shows as well. And you can also go to NativeAmericaCalling.com. Go to our website and check that out. You can comment there as well, or go back and look at previous Native America Calling shows and our archives. We have many, many shows that you can access there and listen to older shows and educate yourself, inform yourself, and just stay dialed in to Native issues and topics. Short break, and we'll be right back, so stay with us.
Support by Sonosky Chambers Law, championing tribal sovereignty and Native American rights since 1976. From opioids litigation to treaty rights to tribal self-governance. With offices in Washington, D.C., New Mexico, California, and Alaska. Sonosky Chambers Law.
Ready to expand your reach and inspire change? Kaufman & Associates crafts culturally grounded communication strategies for Native audiences. More at KaufmanInc.com. KAUFFMANINC.com.
Thank you for tuning in to Native America Calling today. We are talking about new and current Indigenous art exhibitions. What do you look for when you experience Native art? Let us know at 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. Melissa Molero Moose is co-curator of Paper Trails Unfolding Indigenous Narratives, and she is a guest today on our show. And Melissa, how long have you been involved with curating, and what are some of the challenges that you face with putting together exhibitions like this, even just logistically, getting so many artists together, getting the spaces squared away, funding issues? What all goes into this?
Well, I am an artist first and an independent curator second, and I've been doing this probably since 2000. And mostly in my region in northern Nevada and the Great Basin. And I think it's been really challenging because mostly the shows that I put together have no funding, and I work for free. So it's really exciting when I do get to work with a museum that's interested in letting artists kind of lead with guest programming and guest curation. So back home, I started a group called the Great Basin Native Artists, and I just put together these little shows all over the country, but mostly in our region, just to sort of lift up these artists who are sort of underrepresented in that particular region.
Well, Melissa, thank you again for coming on the show, keeping our listeners up to date, informing us, and much success with Paper Trails Unfolding Indigenous Narratives and all of your other projects as well.
Thank you so much.
If you are a Native film buff or just a fan of watching Native stories, Vision Maker Media is launching a film festival that you don't have to leave your living room to enjoy. You can join us with your comments and questions about Native films by calling 1-800-996-2848. Let's talk more about Vision Maker Media's Film Festival. And to do that, joining us from Lincoln, Nebraska is Alana Stone. She is the curatorial specialist for Vision Maker Media, and she is Chichanju Lakota and Dene. Alana, hello. Great to have you on the show.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, this year's film festival, the theme is Everything is Connected. How do you expect to convey that through the films?
Well, Everything is Connected is a core concept in many Indigenous practices because the belief that everything has interwoven relationships between land, sky, environment, and person, not as separate entities, but coexisting as a whole. And this is an exciting year for us as it's Vision Maker Media's 50th anniversary. So we've chosen to celebrate this milestone by launching our year-long 10th Vision Maker Film Festival featuring free in-person and online screenings.
How many films again are available?
We have 33 films available encompassing many tribes across Turtle Island, ranging from Alaska and the rest of the lower 48.
Okay. And the first film, as I understand it, is titled Firelighters, Fire is Medicine. It follows Indigenous fire practitioners. Tell us more about it.
Yes. So Firelighters follows the transformative work of women leaders from the Yurok and the Karuk tribes who are building educational resources to share Indigenous practices and create policies to take back Indigenous burning rights. And it's actually a follow-up from our previously produced film, Apache 8, which is the story of the courageous all-female Apache 8 firefighting unit, which has protected the reservation and responded to wildfires around the nation for 30 plus years.
And there are also films that folks can view online as part of the Film Fest. So how does that work? Somebody just at home that wants to participate?
Yeah, you can actually just go to our website. It's visionmakermedia.org. And under our education, you'll find all of our films, or you'll find a range of films. So we'll have new films every month for the whole entire year. And right now we have 3 films available: The Electric Indian, The Love for the Game, Firelighters, Fire is Medicine, and then also a panel discussion that was held here in person in Lincoln, Nebraska around Firelighters.
And you have shorts as well as feature-length films, is that right?
Yes, we have documentary shorts and we have narrative shorts. Our shorts are actually from one of our programs called the Creative Shorts Fellowship, and those will be online for free to view as well.
Alana, how are these films created? I'm curious in learning more right now about the current environment for Native filmmakers. What are the challenges right now you folks are facing, and maybe what are the opportunities too?
So Vision Maker Media has existed for the last 50 years, and we initially existed as a film archive and have grown to be a leader in funding and producing Native American documentaries for public media. And we were previously funded by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to make these documentaries available for free via public media. And we have a couple programs that we have are the Native Youth Media Project and the Creative Shorts Fellowship that are available for people to apply and be a part of.
Now, this is a year-long event. How do you go about maintaining enthusiasm and interest and just keeping people engaged for 12 months?
So we do monthly online postings on our social media to, let people know that these films are screening online. We'll be releasing trailers for each film as well. And then we also have an in-person aspect of our film festival, which is located here in Lincoln, Nebraska, with our partners, the Mary Rootma Ross Media Arts Center and the Friends of the Ross. So we hope that that will also bring attention to the online film festival as well.
And then is there one film in particular that's featured every month or gets a special type of high-profile treatment or anything like that?
Yes, there is. So our in-person films will all have a panel discussion after those. So those are our main features, and we record these panel discussions and also have those online for free for people to view.
And for these in-person film screenings there in Lincoln, tell me more about the people that have come so far. What kind of feedback you're getting?
We're getting actually great feedback. This is our third year of doing films at the Ross, and the community has just grown to love seeing the films in person, and especially since we've been pulling films from our archives. So there are a lot of films that people haven't seen in years.
Alana, is streaming the trend now for Native films? I'm a big fan of going to theaters, but it just seems like more and more it's kind of an inconvenience. It can be really expensive. What do you hear from audiences? What do they want? Do they want streaming or do they want in-person experiences?
I think it's both, and that's why we do have both. We have our in-person, which is for people that want to enjoy the theater experience, but then also online for those people that can't travel to a theater, and we want to reach a worldwide audience. So having them online gets our film seen by more people than it would in person.
Now, I know 2025 last year, that was a tumultuous year for a lot of Native organizations. We talked about it a lot on the show, and especially folks that rely on federal funding. And Vision Maker Media is one of those organizations. How have you all fared during these challenging times with regard to programming cuts and funding cuts? And who all are you looking to also maybe to help support some of these efforts?
Yeah, it was actually a significant blow to our operations when CPB cut our funding. It accounted for more than 60% of our budget. So we've shifted our gears to maintain support and funding for our programs like the Native Youth Media Project and the Creative Shorts Fellowship. And we're still adjusting to the changing landscape, but we are seeking support from funders to continue our work with filmmakers and continue our commitment to empower and engage Native people to share stories.
Now, Alana, you talked a little bit earlier about how Vision Makers supports content creators, and I'm interested in learning more about some of those strategies or training opportunities or other programming you do just to get more folks involved in just creating content, whether it's for streaming, whether it's in-person movies, whether it's a documentary or a short, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, you can actually go to our website, visionmakermedia.org, and we have a tab called Fund Your Film. And under that tab, we have applications for both our Native Youth Media Project and our Creative Shorts Fellowship, which are both open for applicants to apply. And that's how you get involved with Vision Maker Media. But also you can send us an email at info@visionmakermedia.org, and we will take requests from there as well.
And private donors, have you seen them step up at all in terms of supporting Vision Maker or just any of these projects that you folks are embracing right now?
Yes, we have seen some donors come through, and I think by doing some of these online educational programs, we're getting seen more, and that's really bringing more people to the attention of Vision Maker Media so that we can, continue to do our programs.
It's interesting because you're talking about funding projects and a lot of really great films being produced right now just on smartphones, iPhones even, right?
Yes, that is something that we've seen come through, and that's really popular right now.
Why do you think it's important for people to be able to access Native film? And we ask questions like that a lot on the show, the importance of Native representation. But in your view, Alana, what is it that a Native filmmaker can capture or a content creator can capture that no one else can?
I think they can capture the contemporary life of Native Americans. And it's really about our youth, seeing that we can fund or we can produce these films and people want to know about us, and we want to, share our knowledge and let people know that we are still here and we still do exist.
Now, everything is connected. How much longer will it be there and available? Where are we at in the timeline?
So we are in our second month of the film festival. So it will last until the end of the year, which is December 31st. and every month on the 1st, we will change out the films. So you'll get 2 to 4 new films every single month.
Okay. Now, you brought young filmmakers up a little bit and just the importance of fostering more youth to engage in filmmaking. What are you seeing as the trends among Native youth film? And we talked about, smartphones and iPhones, but what else are young filmmakers interested in, and what are they focusing on in terms of technology and tools?
Younger filmmakers are focusing on creating shorts. We're seeing less full-length documentaries, and we're seeing a lot more of short documentaries, short narrative films, just short films that the youth really want to create.
All right. Alana Stone, curatorial specialist for Vision Maker Media. I want to go back to Dr. Miranda Roberts as we begin to wind down the show. She is a guest curator of Constellations of Place. She's in Riverside, California. And Miranda, I want to hear your thoughts with regard to the overall importance of watching, viewing, and visiting Native art this year in 2026.
Oh, wow. That's going to make me emotional. I think right now, as what we're facing in this country is not anything new to Native people or Indigenous people. And we have always created, no matter the circumstances, we have found ways to continue our traditions, and whether that's basket weaving or drawing. And yes, our pieces are in museums and galleries, but they're, as a Native person, when you look at them in those galleries, I hope that you feel connected to the artists and their homelands and who they are as people, and you feel connected to yourself. If you're away from home, I often think of the Native art that helps me remember my place and my homelands. So I hope that people can feel connected through that. And I also hope that our art continues to provide us with hope for the future. Like Matika was saying earlier, that our futurisms, we see beyond these, whatever is happening in the government, this fascist regime, and we know that we have to overcome it, and our artwork helps us get there in one way or another.
And Miranda, as a curator, a person who does this for a living, do you also just go out and visit other exhibitions throughout the year, even non-Native art exhibitions? Is that part of, your focus and your passion in life?
It is, to an extent, I would say. I do enjoy going to art and to art exhibitions, but I also think because I know how the sauce is made, so to speak, sometimes, I walk away with a different different sort of questions than the average viewer might, like, why did they pick this person, or what were the politics about this? I have a different set of questions that come up when I look at it. And I'm always wondering why museums and institutions in particular can't be more supportive and reflective of the people of the homelands that they're on. This is why I'm such a big fan of Matika's work.
Okay. Well, you understand what it's like to pull back that curtain, so I can appreciate what you described there, Dr. Miranda Roberts. And with that, we're going to wrap this show up. We are out of time, but I want to thank our guests who joined us, Dr. Miranda Roberts, Matika Wilbur, Melissa Malero Moose, and also Alana Stone. And remember, just because the conversation ends, that doesn't mean the dialogue has to end as well. So feel free to engage on our social media platforms. Tell us what you liked about this show. Tell us what made it special. Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, or just go to our website again, NativeAmericaCalling.com. And as always, don't forget to join us again. We'll begin next week with a discussion. Also, a feature of the State of Indian Nations address from the National Congress of American Indians. That will be on Monday. Our executive producer is Art Hughes. Our producers are Andy Murphy, Sol Traverso, and Joe Thompson. Marino Spencer is the engineer. Sho McPolin is the digital producer. Nola Daves Moses is the distribution director. Bob Peterson is the network manager for Native Voice One. Clifton Chadwick is our National Underwriting Sales Director. Antonia Gonzalez is the anchor for National Native News. Charles Sather is our Chief Operations Officer. The President and CEO of Koahnic Broadcast Corporation is Jacqueline Salee. Have a safe weekend. I'm Sean Spruce.
The faculty of tribal colleges and universities support their students in countless ways. They say I believe and offer help before it's asked.
Hear that? That's everything tribal college faculty do for their students on Fast Forward. Because if one tried to say it in real time, they'd be here all day. They teach, guide, comfort, and connect. And for that, the community is grateful. Learn more at mostthoroughdjobdescription.com. The American Indian College Fund supports this program.
Who protects Indian country? Amerind does. As the only 100% tribally owned insurance carrier, Amerind helps strengthen tribal communities by providing reliable insurance coverage and keeping dollars in Indian country. From property and liability to commercial auto and tribal workers' compensation, Amerind is here to protect what matters. Celebrating 40 years of serving Indian country. Learn more at Amerind.com. That's AMERIND.com.
Native America Calling is produced in the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation, a Native nonprofit media organization. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting with support from the Public Radio Satellite Service. Music is by Brent Michael Davids. Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.